Jet fans, what's going on? How we doing? Happy Victory Monday. Back-to-back weeks in a row. Could definitely get used to this. But what does it really mean? Let's be honest. These were back-to-back wins against a very bad Giants team with a rookie quarterback and some of their top playmakers out. You got Barkley on one ankle. You got Shepard out. You had Ingram out. So how much was the defense really tested? You know, their defense was trash. And then you get an even worse Redskins team. Haskins has no clue what he was doing out there. Padded his stats in the fourth quarter. You know, their defense was just as bad as the Giants. They have just as few weapons, if not less, than the Giants have, aside from McLaren, who made a couple nice catches. So what do these wins really mean? Well, for me, the big thing, obviously, is Sam Darnold. He's playing well, and this is the one thing I'll keep saying about Sam. For weeks now, the past couple of weeks when he's been off, aside from last week, we keep hearing about the mechanics, the footwork, you know, all these things that he does unconventionally. Well, that's who Sam is. You have to take the good with the bad. You know, there's going to be times where, you know, he maybe tries to do a little bit too much. That's okay. He's going to learn from those things. You know, that's one of his greatest strengths, his ability to improvise, extend the play, go through his progressions, keep his eyes downfield, and make something happen. And that's what we saw a lot yesterday. Yes, he had the one pick, I think it was in the second quarter, where, you know, he did a little too much, extended the play, you know, forced a bad throw. But then look what he did before that. You know, the scripted drives now, we've got 4 touchdowns in a row in 4 straight games on the opening drive. I think he's like 25 of 27 in those drives, which is just insane. But then, you know, that's another subject. You want to get to Adam Gase, you know, doing something more than just the scripted drives. But, you know, you look how he bounced back after the interception, Sam. You know, he's playing well. He's got all the tools. He has the ability. You just want to make sure that Adam Gase is getting through to him. And, you know, if you read Cimini's article from today, I think it was Cimini, when Sam Darnold went into Adam Gase's office after the Jaguar game and said, hey, this is what's working and this is what's not working. Yes, I love that from Sam. That's him, you know, becoming a leader, taking ownership of this offense. But why the hell does the 22-year-old quarterback have to go to the experienced offensive guru head coach in order to make something change? Why isn't it the other way around? You know, the same way that Adam Gase earlier in the year kept talking about Sam Darnold being this great eraser. You know, anytime he calls a bad play, Sam Darnold's going to erase it. Why the hell don't you set him up for success? How about that? How about you make it easier on your quarterback? Don't make him come to you. You go to him. And that's why I'm also going to get into Quincy Enunwa right now. That whole situation stinks to shit, okay? He could be wrong. And in fact, Quincy Enunwa, in a couple ways, he was wrong. He missed his meeting. He didn't let the team know. He was wrong. But let's think about this. Tyson covered it. Jay covered it. Joe covered it. This is a team leader. Has he ever been in trouble before as far as, you know, locker room issues, calling out coaches, calling out the front office, you know, going to social media to complain? Has he ever done this before? No. So why is he doing it now? And he even said it in his tweet that multiple teammates came up to him and said that he needed to say something, which tells you what? Players in that locker room do not like or respect the way Adam Gase is trying to instill culture or accountability, because he doesn't do it, right? You read also another Cimini article on the Enunwa situation where first he goes to the wide receiver coach, then he goes to the offensive coordinator. Offensive coordinator sends him to Gase. Gase sends him to Douglas. What the fuck kind of accountability is that? Take some ownership out of it, you know? Like, it's one thing when, you know, guys go down and you can, you know, fake accountability. Oh, you know, we benched Ryan Khalil. No, he got hurt. Oh, we benched Tremaine Johnson. No, he got hurt. Like, that's not real accountability. And Adam Gase, he is not a guy that's going to hold players accountable, at least not for their actions on the field. And he's far from being a fucking leader. That's for damn sure. So, you know, all these things that keep kind of popping up, they're definitely concerning as it relates to Adam Gase, but you want to see things improve as they go. Hold on a second. I don't want to get an accident here. I don't know what the hell this guy's doing. You know, so getting into a few other things, obviously, I got to say something about my boy Mike Maccagnan first. And let me just start by saying this. Yes, Mike Maccagnan deserves still all the criticism that he gets, because when you ignore the offensive line, when you ignore cornerback, and you ignore pass rush, especially when you have $100 million and the 3rd overall pick and 2 third-round picks, you're not going to get an excuse for that, especially when you've had 5 years to address it. So that's what I want to say first. But I think it's also about time that maybe we start to reevaluate how we look at some of his mid to late round picks. Because, you know, 3 years ago, oh, well, yeah, 3 years ago, you had the first two, you know, with Adams in May, and then you really didn't have much else after that. And that was kind of 3 years in a row where you're like, all right, you know, we're top heavy. but we don't have the back end. And even the top-heavy guys like Leo, you know, they're gone now. So his drafting record for the first 3 years, aside from, you know, Adams and May, it was pretty trash, right? You get Darnold the year after, but then you start to look at some of the mid to late round picks with guys like Herndon. Now you have Foley stepping up as one of the top-rated run defenders. You have Nathan Shepard sacks in back-to-back weeks, you know, since coming off the suspension list. You know, and then this year, Cashman was playing well as a 5th-round pick earlier in the year before he got hurt. Bleswan Austin now, you know, he's showing some athleticism. He's making tackles. You know, he's looking like a potential starting caliber corner if he could stay healthy, and that was a 6th-round pick. You got Trayvon Wesco, a 5th-round pick. He's starting to get acclimated to the offense a little bit. That's nice to see. Edoga, he's been starting on the right side. When he's been on the right side, I know yesterday he got beat by Kerrigan for a couple sacks, which wasn't good, but for the most part, you know, when he wasn't playing at left tackle for those few games when Beachum was out, Edoga was holding his own. He was showing maybe he could be a potential starter down the line. So I think we're starting to see that some of these mid to late round picks can be answers. You know, one of them, you know, in Edoga, an offensive lineman. Another one in Bleswan Austin is a cornerback. But you still don't have those impact guys. And the biggest one has got to be the pass rusher. That was the one spot that you couldn't screw up, and you did. Right? You couldn't screw that up, and you did. So, that was an asshole over there. You know, he had Josh Allen staring him in the face, yet what do? Quinnen Williams. And I still think Quinnen Williams could be a very good player in this league. You know, he's, what, 22 years old, you know, trying to transition to defensive line in the NFL, going up against offensive line. That's not easy. That is not an easy thing to do. So, you know, you want to be a little bit more patient with him. It's not like, you know, we saw Foley or Shepard dominating last year. Yes, being the 3rd overall pick, that comes with, you know, heightened expectations. So, you know, hopefully Quinnen starts to step up soon. He was supposed to be that immediate impact guy, best player in the draft. We're not seeing it yet. Another guy who, I don't want to say he's a disappointment, but Le'Veon Bell, let's be honest, you watch Bilal Powell get in that offense in the backfield, he was running a lot different than Le'Veon Bell. He hits the hole. He's not as patient, whereas, you know, Bell, he's patient. He waits for the blocks. You know, he kind of tiptoes around. You need the right offensive line and the right system in order for that to work. And, you know, you might say this is why Adam Gase didn't want him in the first place. And, you know, looking at the results now, I don't think he's had one game over 70 yards rushing. You know, they don't view him as a $14 million a year back. So in spite of everything he brings on the field, off the field, he's not going to be a Jet. I think we just have to face facts on that he is not going to be a Jet long term. So I don't think Adam Gase has any incentive to try to, you know, feed him the rock 20, 25 times a game, you know, feature him in the passing game. I just don't think he's going to do that, because then what's going to happen, right? Le'Veon Bell becomes even more of a fan favorite. He puts up the stats to back it up. And then what? You're going to trade him in the offseason? I mean, most likely that is what's going to happen, you know. And let's get to the other guy, Jamal Adams. Hopefully, you know, the trade talks maybe lit a fire under him, and, you know, he's going to want to stay a Jet. I still don't believe that, to be honest, because I like Quincy, a little bit different, but similar to Quincy, the fact that he went to social media to air out the dirty laundry about Gase, he even called out Joe Douglas. To me, all of this stuff, you know, you throw in Osemele and Luke Falk as well, all of this stuff together tells me that guys in that locker room do not have a whole lot of respect for Gase and the way the Jets are doing things. So, yes, you know, when you've had a culture that hasn't preached accountability for 4 to 5 years, perhaps even longer, you know, if you want to point to the back-end direct years, that's fine. When you've had a culture for so long that doesn't preach those things, yeah, it's going to be a wake-up call when you bring in guys that do it. Problem is, the way Adam Gase is trying to do it, it's not getting through to the players. It's not getting through to the players. They don't respect him, and it's not like he has the winning resume that, you know, like a Bill Belichick, he could be a prick to everybody, and, you know, it's my way or the highway. I'm a proven winner. If you don't like it, you can get out, because I'm going to find guys that do it without you. You know, it's not like that. It's much different than that. So, you know, looking at the big picture again, I'm happy that the team won back-to-back games. I'm happy that Darnold's playing well. I'm happy that Jamal Adams is playing, you know, like a potential defensive MVP. Should be back-to-back AFC Defensive Player of the Week. But, you know, and I'm happy with the younger guys too. Like, you have some young pieces that are starting to step up now. But all of these things, in spite of all these things, is anybody walking away from victories against the Giants and the Redskins thinking, oh yeah, Adam Gase is figuring it out now? or are we just playing really, really shitty teams? And unfortunately, I think it's the latter, but Adam Gase, he's going to have his chance to prove himself. You get the Raiders this coming week, and then you get towards the end of the season, obviously you're going to have the Bengals and Dolphins in between, which better be wins for his sake. But then towards the end, you get the Ravens, you get the Steelers, and you get the Bills. 3 teams that, typically bring pretty good defenses. That's going to be his biggest test. To me, that will answer whether or not things have truly changed. Because at that point, right, you've either gone on a 5-game winning streak and you're suddenly playing for something, you're 6-7, and you're trying to get to 9-7, make the playoffs, or you've lost 1 or 2 games, you're eliminated, and you're going to find out for real how much respect Adam Gase has in that locker room, whether or not guys truly pack it in, whether or not they're playing for him, whether or not they want to stay a Jet. All these things we're going to find out. So I'm not too high, I'm not too low. At 3-7, probably you can make a case that we should be a lot lower right now, but you still want to see those little things like Darnold playing well, him progressing, and some of the other young guys that are starting to step up. So hopefully we still keep seeing this team head in the right direction, but I have to be honest, I don't know how much I want to see it over the next couple of weeks, because I don't want Adam Gase to get a return just off of beating bad teams, because to me, that would just be throwing another year away, okay? He has to do it against the few remaining good defenses that we're going to have on our schedule. And if he can't do it, my stance would have to be the same as it was earlier in the season, that you cannot waste these years with Sam Darnold on his rookie contract. Who cares about 3 offensive coordinators or 3 head coaches in 3 years, 3 systems in 3 years? It's better to make the move early and rectify the situation than leave your quarterback stuck in a bad system with an incompetent head coach who can't adjust or game plan beyond the opening script. And I still have a lot of questions on that, right? There's still a lot of questions about Adam Gase, the play caller. The 3rd and 11 handoff to Le'Veon Bell was a complete joke. There was a time in the second quarter where it almost looked like the game was starting to get away, but, the team luckily was able to bounce back, and I think it obviously helped that, Dwayne Haskins and the Redskins offense wasn't really much of a threat to do anything. So, again, take the good with the bad. Hope it continues to trend in the right direction, but, I'm still cautious, as far as Adam Gase goes and whether or not, I want him to be here long term. So, heads up, go Jets. Talk to you guys soon.